Kind of looks like it might be. Though it says waiting. Oh, here we go. Right, finally. Okay, so welcome to the penultimate round of uh Tier 3. I always say it's Tier 2 because I used to commentate Tier 2. Um the Tier 3 Championship, we're at Kyoto today. Um which is the track with the highest tire wear on the calendar. So, as you can see, the guy starting in last is going to do a medium stint. So this is a really interesting race in terms of it's an incredibly long track. I think it's like almost 2.5 minutes long. The tire wear is incredibly high because there's hardly any straights. It's all corners, very fast sweeping corners, where you have to basically keep the throttle applied and slide around many corners, which just destroys your tires. So we're going to see a few different strategies, which is a nice change in ALR. It's not just going to be potentially all softs for the sprint and then a medium soft in the feature. We might have two stoppers in the feature. We might even see one or two one stoppers in the sprint. So yeah, let's go through the grid. We've got Woozy at the back. Remember last week he won the race at Le Mans and he had pole position. So complete opposite track this week. And complete reversal of fortunes for Woozy, who is starting on the back on the mediums. Brian had not a great qualifying in the Porsche there. He's on the softs, but he's still only managed P14. Then we got Kanata in the BRZ qualifying P13, quite usual. To be outside the top 10 in the car, that was heavily nerfed. Although I think it might got a little buff in the update this week. I'm not too sure, so it'll be interesting to see if it has a strong final round. Yuri P12, he's had a couple of very strong rounds, but he's now back outside the top 10 for Kyoto. He's on the mediums though, so he managed to outqualify a few of the soft guys on those medium tires. Just bear with me, I just need to check. Yeah, that everything was working properly on YouTube. And then in P11, Whack Jams, he's been struggling a little bit qualifying, but he's managed to get P11 again on the mediums. Then we have Riaba, who's won a race this season in 10th, another medium runner. Hurricane on the softs in the second BRZ in P9 there, fairly decent qualifying for him. Dado on the softs in the Volkswagen Beetle. And then we got Major again on the softs in the Gen X. Major's had very high tire wear so far this season, so I wonder if he'll be trying a one stop or if he will just be holding out until the end of the race. It'd be interesting to keep an eye on this one. Same for Prime Call Ilioni, who is in the Mustang, which has I think I'm pretty sure it has pretty bad tire wear, the Mustang. So another one to watch out for on those softs. Then we have our championship leader, Peaky, only P5 on the grid. Struggling in qualifying in the second half of the season, Peaky, compared to where he was in the first. He's been overtaken by Denz, who's usually pretty strong. He's on the soft as well in the GR Supra, which has fairly high tire wear. They've got Skinsy and P3 in the Mazda, which has the best tire wear on the grid. So potential for him to get the race win here in the sprint if he can hold on to those tires longer than the two ahead. We've got Claus in P2. The tires on this Porsche will die maybe 2 laps before the end of the sprint race, so he might be going backwards even if he starts strongly. And we've got Filthy at P1. The Lexus has a little bit better tire life than the Porsche, but again, it's not too great. But I think this is Filthy's first pole position for a very long time, actually. So amazing result here for Filthy. Just going to have a little drink and we will get going. It is sunrise settings here at Kyoto. We've got 15 minutes on the go, 15 drivers. And it's lights out and away we go in the dark in Kyoto. It looks like a very, very good start for Filthy. Horrible start as usual for Claus in the Porsche. It looks like he's already dropping down to 4th place there. Peaky, great start up to 3rd, right behind Skinsy now already. But Filthy managing to get pole position. And then let's just have a little look further down. Den's solid, solidified P5. Dado up 2 places. It looks like the Volkswagen started very well here. He's into 6th. Major, Riaba in 7th, and Major's dropping down to 8th there. But he's actually just retaken Riaba on the exit of the S's section there. But let's rejoin the battle at the front, because it looks like Skinsy is trying to move a little, put his nose around the outside there of Filthy, went really wide, and that's allowed Peaky and Skinsy, who are battling just behind, to close the gap a little bit. Peaky's still just ahead of Claus. And are we going to make it through the hairpin? It looks like Claus has gone for it, and it looks like he's won out, and Peaky jostled out of position there. But what happened to Claus? He's down in last place. He must have span on the exit. Let's have a look. He loses it all on his own there, and he's facing the barrier. And what was a pretty solid start, pretty solid qualifying for Claus, is a disaster now. And he's all the way at the back of the grid, and he's going to struggle for the rest of the race. But up in P1, Filthy has about half second lead ahead of Skinsy as we head into the second portion of the lap. We are in the Miyabi part of the Yamigawa and Miyabi circuit. I didn't bother writing all that in the title of the YouTube because who could be asked reading all that. So this is the short section of the track, and now we are re-entering into the Yamigawa section, which we have just raced at the Yamigawa on its own in the past, but we decided to do the full track this time. Need to give these guys a little bit of a challenge every now and then. And it looks like the top 2 are dropping Peaky at the moment, which is great news for them. And Filthy putting in a really solid opening lap here. Yes, we are still on the first lap. 2 minutes have gone, and we've got a few more corners to go. This is the trickiest corner coming up right here, that little left-hander, because you have to take a lot of speed, but it's so easy to just go straight to the barriers there. So we're rounding the final corner. It looks like Filthy's got a little bit wide into that final corner. Skinsy might have a little run on him here. Let's join on board with Filthy. See, it doesn't look like he got the best exit. And something's happened to, is it Dens? Let's go back. No, it wasn't Dens. No, nothing happened to anyone. I thought, I wasn't expecting to see Major in P4 there, but he's done pretty well to get into P4 in the second half of the lap, and Dado in P5. Dens has actually dropped to P6. And then we got Prime called Riaba. Hurricane's still in the top 10, and Brian had a great start to his race in 10th place. And then we know that that Claus, sorry, had a bad opening lap, and Whack Jams has fallen all the way to the back, which you hate to see. But at the front, it looks like Skidsy's challenging Filthy again. So Skidsy very strong through the first sector compared to Filthy. This is the second time he's been all over the back of him going into this really long sweeping left-hander, which kills your tyres. But Filthy holding on to first place for now. This might be a battle that carries on for the entirety of the race. We can see Filthy has a little bit more tyre wear already than Skinsy, even though we're only on lap 2 here. So he has to do a little bit more to manage his tyres compared to Skinsy because of the disadvantages of the Lexus. Lexus is very, very good in these kind of corners though, which is why he's been able to get it on pole today. It's just the tyre wear can let it down, because obviously the more the tyres wear, the more grip you start to lose. And cars that aren't maybe as quick over one lap start to close the gap a little bit more. But Skinsy can't do anything at the moment. It's very difficult to track to overtake on, so if you don't make any mistakes, even if you've got the pace advantage behind, you're not going to get ahead of the car in front, because there's just hardly any straights to pull alongside, essentially. It's a good little view here. So we've got Major 4th. Dado is in 5th. No one's making many moves, but we see Connector there going very wide. And he dropped down to P12 after being 10th for it momentarily there. Everyone very close battling for this final point. So we've got lots of people outside the top 10 that we expect to see in the top 10. Claus, Yuri, Whack, and Woozy should be in the top 10. Looks like Filthy's got a little bit of breathing room as we head on to I guess you call it the home straight, but it's not really much of a straight. It's quite short. You'd only get into well, some cars don't even get into 5th gear on this straight. And let's ride on board with Skinsy, because these last 2 laps he's gotten incredibly close to Filthy. I don't know if Filthy's lifting through some of these corners. It looked like Skinsy had to lift a little bit there though, which has killed his momentum. Still goes purple regardless. And he's been a little bit more patient this time. Maybe trying to get a better exit, but he took the entry into that corner a lot more carefully. Maybe preserving the tyres a little bit, or maybe it was just a little mini driver error there. See, Peaky isn't too far behind either. What Skinsy will be thinking right now is he needs to get past Filthy and start building a bit of a gap to try and overturn what's happening in the championship at the moment. But it seems very much so far this race everyone is just kind of running line astern. There's not too many changes for position. I see Hurricanes moved up into P8 there, but I think all the drama could potentially happen in the second half of the race when the tyres start going off. Filthy's lost a bit of ground on Skinsy there, maybe a little bit poor coming out of one of those corners as we head into another hairpin where the tracks changed between the Miyabi and the Yamigawa. Starting to pull away a little bit from Peaky there as well. Looks like he's maybe lost for half a second or to a second on Skinsy there. Filthy really defending well though. He's not making any mistakes, and he's put under quite a bit of pressure at the moment, and still quite early on in the race. We're 6 minutes in. We nearly finished 3 out of, I think it's 7 laps around here, my memory serves. This is probably the most important corner for Filthy, and he's taken a wide entry, and he's not really managed to close the gap at all, close the door even, and that's going to allow Skinsy maybe a sniff if he's feeling brave into turn 1. It's not a big braking zone into turn 1. Filthy has gone defensive right there, and Skinsy is going for it. He's got the outside line though. You really have to hold it well on the outside, but it looks like Skinsy got a pretty good run out of turn 1, and he's got his nose ahead now, and he might not be looking back. It looks like Skinsy's took P1 there. Pretty good move around the outside, not an easy move to do at all, and Filthy will be fairly disappointed to lose P1 in that manner, because it looked like he defended pretty well, but he just took too much speed off to hit the apex. Maybe he could have rode the curbs a little bit better to keep P1, but it wasn't meant to be. But he's got quite a big lead over Dado, who's suddenly in 3rd, so I think we need to rewind and see what happened, because Peaky and a couple of other drivers so what happened to Peaky? He's lost it on his own. He's lost it on his own, and he's fallen all the way down to 6th. And then I have a feeling we're going to see Major come into the pits here, because Dado all of a sudden goes up into P3. Yeah. And then Major's coming out in P13. Brian also came into the pits. Claus also came into the pits. So both Porsches and Major come into the pits. If you're going to do a one-stop in the sprint, you do have to pit on lap 3, because you're going to get the clear air that way. And actually, it's not too far behind Woozy, so a top 10 for Major is still definitely on. Well, time will tell if he can, how many cars he can overtake, particularly on the final lap when everyone else's tyres will be crying. It's probably worth, at the moment, doing a bit of a tyre check. So Skinsy's probably got between 60 and 70%. Filthy's maybe 10% lower than Skinsy at the moment. Dado's tyres are pretty dead, so I don't expect him to keep hold of P3 at the moment. Den's looking after his tyres much better, so let's follow Den's for a little while, because I have a feeling this is going to be an overtake, potentially before the end of the lap. If I was Dado, I'd probably be pitting at this point. And then there's Peaky. He's in P5 at the moment. Den's going to have to go around the outside of the hairpin here. And Dado just gets it all wrong. A pretty poor attempt at taking the apex there from Dado, and he's on the grass as well. And Den should be able to just fly through here. And Dens picks up P3. We've seen him on the podium plenty of times this season. Dado actually kind of does a bit of a dive bomb there. It seems to work. He's got pretty bad lag at the moment as well, which must be quite frustrating. Now Peaky's caught up to them as well. So I wonder if Dado's going to be pitting this lap, because he can't do, surely, 3 more laps on these dead soft tyres. And Dens throws it on the inside and goes a little bit wide. He's kind of returned the favour there. And Dado gets bump drafted by his teammate into P3 once again. So this is all a little bit messy in this fight for P3. I don't know why Dado's still staying out. He's going to potentially finish outside the top 10 here on these dead tyres. We've also got Prime Call. I haven't focused on Prime Call too much, but he's doing a solid job. He's in 6th place. His tyres are worse than Peaky's and Denz's, who looks like he's finally getting past Dado. He's got the better traction, and Dado's now in the way of the championship leader and his teammate Peaky. So I wonder if he's going to pull over and let Peaky through, or if he's going to try and get past Denz. Yeah, that wasn't... Oh, is Prime Call going to get Peaky though? Oh, both Beetles are in the wall! They just followed each other into the wall, and Prime Call takes P4 pretty easily there. And it looks like Hurricane's going to try and move on Peaky. Very late move, but it's actually worked. And Dado goes wide, so Hurricane's going to get both Beetles as well. So absolute disaster for the Beetles. Dado finally lets Peaky through. Peaky's still battling with Hurricane right now. They're going side by side still. And it looks like Peaky's actually going to win out. Hurricane's tyres are completely dead as well. So that's Subaru's tyres. I think Hurricane might be on pad. Well, he must be, because this is way too early in the race for it to be completely dead. And this is why it's going to potentially help Major, despite pitting on lap 3, get a really solid result here, because some of these drivers' tyres are absolutely gone already. Peaky's as well, he doesn't have too much life left, and Hurricane's coming back at him now. He went very wide there, and shouldn't have really made contact with Hurricane there. That's the only reason he stayed ahead of him. Needs to leave more space when you're battling side by side, to be honest. Let's have a look at what's happening at the front though. Skinsey's got the fastest lap and he's winning the race. 16.6 for the fastest lap. 15s are possible for these guys. I'm pretty sure maybe 1 or 2 of them got in the 15s in qualifying. Filthy doing a pretty solid job in P2. Then we got Denz a little bit further behind. He's kind of on his own a little bit now, but Prime Call's not too far behind, maybe 2 seconds. Peaky's lost a lot of time to them now with all the battling. And then Hurricane, Dado, is he going to come into the pits? Everyone's carrying on for the final 2 laps. Whack jams Kanata. Major's already in the top 10. Unfortunately, he's got a second penalty, and that's going to allow Kanata to get a little bit away. And Riaba on the medium tyres. Yuri also get past Major. And Claus not really closing in on this battle, but let's follow Major because he's got 3 cars. 2 of them are mediums, 1 on softs, I think. All of them shredding the tyres a lot quicker than Major and battling each other through the S's here, which is going to cost them a lot of time. All 3 cars ahead, you could tell, had to lift there, but Major took the final part of the S's all wrong, went sideways and lost the momentum. He could have potentially picked off 1 or 2 of them there, but he's going to close the gap again on this long left-hander because he's got the grip for it. He's going to try and get Kanata again. He was right behind him a few corners ago before he had to serve that 1 second penalty. He's getting pushed to the outside and he's going to have to do that overtake, and he has 1 position. Now he's got Yuri and Riaba to battle. Oh, and he's pushed Yuri into the wall, allows Kanata to get past. Not the greatest of moments there for him. And now Claus, who's the other driver who pit for the softs, has a chance to get past Major. And actually, Claus will be the one to watch come through the field now, potentially. Kanata goes wide. He's left the door open for Claus, and they managed to actually avoid contact completely there. Not even a little love kiss on the way past. So Claus in the top 10 now. He showed some great speed in this second part of the season. Basically a tale of 2 seasons for Claus. The first half he was absolutely nowhere. Maybe just getting to grips with the car, maybe he didn't have time to practice, I don't know. And then ever since Dragon Trail he's been definitely one of the quickest guys in the tier. And now he's challenging Riaba, and he's going to have to tuck behind now. No, he's going for it, and actually Riaba's gone for it on Hurricane as well. But that's because Hurricane's got absolutely no tyres. Riaba's got some tyres on his mediums, couldn't get past Hurricane. Claus gets a double overtake done, and he's up into 8th place. Now he's got Whack Jams and Dado Remember, Dado has had completely red tyres for quite a while, completely dead tyres, and just give it a couple of corners. And this is the fight to watch, really. We see Wack might want to try and get past Dado actually before turn 1. He's still got some life left in his medium tyres compared to Dado's completely dead soft, so he could really chuck it into turn 1 here. Dado goes very aggressive into the corner, goes wide as a result, and Wack Jam should just get this position fairly easily. And that's Dado down from P3 down to P7 now. Let's see, Peaky's pretty much completely dead now. Prime Call's completely dead. Dens has a tiny sliver of white left. Filthy's completely dead, and Skinsy is looking fine, so he should be able to extend this fairly decent lead that he's already got. Filthy should be fine for P2, Dens should be fine for P3. So we are going to stick with this battle between Claws and Dado, and then eventually Wack Jams. I think it's inevitable that Dado's going to lose another position here. And he's gone deep, and of course he collects Wack. Come on, this is poor. That should have been reported, Wack. I don't know why he didn't report that. That was a horrendous, desperate late lunge there from Dado, and you can't do that. You can't do that on dead tyres. You have to adjust what you're doing when you've got completely dead tyres. To do a strategy like this so that you don't make stupid mistakes like that. Fortunately for Wack Jams, we are on the final lap, by the way. He didn't lose a position, he just lost time, which is probably why it didn't get reported. But Claus is going to do a Hail Mary into this hairpin. Actually, Wack very good on the brakes there and kept it. And they're still managing to avoid... Oh, I spoke too soon. I was going to say they still managed to avoid the slightest bit of contact, but Claus did send Wack slightly sideways. And we're going to see maybe a late lunge here. Round the outside. No, it's not going to get done. So let's join Skinsy because he's already on the home stretch. He's going to take the sprint win. A very solid result here for Skinsy, taking full advantage of the superior tyre life on that Mazda to win. Now we've got Filthy, who's going to cross the line in a solid P2. Very, very good result for Filthy. Dens, another podium for him. Our P3 in the championship takes P3 in this sprint race. Best result of the season for Prime Call comfortably. Great result in the Mustang. Peaky, after everything that happened, down in 5th. Claus did manage to get past Wack at the final corner. Take 6th, Wack 7th. Dado just holding off Riaba for 8th. And then Kanata is going to take 10th place at the final point. Major just couldn't recover, and he's already got completely dead tyres. Yuri 12th, Hurricane 13th, Woozy 14th, and it looks like we had a disconnection. Not too sure who that was. I think it was Brian. Yeah, Brian disconnected. I think he did a little rage quit, and I don't think we're going to see him back for the feature either. So, yeah, not a happy guy, even though I've got to say the Porsche's probably over one lap the quickest car in Kyoto. It's definitely the strongest track of the season. You just have to learn how to race in, well, look after your tyres, essentially. Hello, Ryan. Nice to see you. Right, so the feature race. This is going to be one of the more exciting feature races of the season, purely from a strategy point of view, and I love a good strategy. So depending on the car is going to depend on what the optimal strategy is. I was in the Porsche this week, and I did do a two-stop. So if you two-stop, the challenge will be for you will be to get to the end of the second stint without having to refuel and manage your fuel effectively. Because if you don't have to refuel on the first stop, then you're going to probably jump a few drivers in the pits. So that's something to look out for. Around about lap 6 to lap 7, some of these cars can do a one-stop. Some of these cars can't. Some of these drivers might try to do a one-stop when they really shouldn't. So yeah, I have absolutely no idea how this feature race is going to go. We've got advantage Skinsy in the championship at the moment, but he's going to be starting a good few places behind Peaky here. Let's do a quick run through of tyres. So Skinsy's going to be on the mediums. I'm just going to shout out if anyone is going to be starting on the softs. It wouldn't be advisable because you're starting on a full tank and basically get one lap fewer out of these softs. Major is on the soft at the front. Yuri's not, and neither is Hurricane, but Woozy is. So Woozy, this is the second feature race in the row, by the way, that Woozy's starting on pole position. So he's really taking advantage of this reverse grid rule that we've got. Best feature yet. Okay, you get my hopes up now. So, things to look out for. Woozy, is he going to just drive away from everyone because he's on the soft tyres? Major, is he going to get past Hurricane and Yuri quickly? And then all the way at the back, how quickly are we going to see Peaky and Skinsy pop up in this top 8 that we've got on the left-hand side of the screen? So let's get going. We've got a rolling start, 40 minutes, the second to last feature race of the season. Incredibly important race for the championship between Skinsy and Peaky, but we've got Woozy on pole position here in the Toyota GR Supra. He managed to convert this into a victory at Le Mans. Can he do the same here? It looks like a pretty rough start there for Hurricane. Yuri's already overtaken him into the turn 1, but Yuri had to take the outside line there, and Hurricane keeps that position. Let's ride on board with Yuri if he see what he could do. These guys are both on medium tyres, and if they start battling, it might allow Major to go through on the softs, or Woozy to get way ahead of them. Looks like Yuri's just tucked in behind at the moment, and Major is just see how quickly he's going to close the gap on these guys going through the corner. Both medium runners go a little bit wide, maybe because they're not used to taking that corner on the medium tyres after racing on the softs for the sprint. But yeah, Major couldn't really close the gap there. Oh, Woozy started 5th in the one. Why did I think you started first? Oh, you had pole position, that's why. I see. Pole position, and then didn't have the best. You got murdered in the first lap of Le Mans. Well, hopefully you managed to pull off a decent result here. Right, really wide there from Hurricane. He's having to go defensive into another really long left-hander. Doors left completely up by Yuri for Major to potentially swoop through. They're going to drag race it down into the hairpin here. And Major's actually... Oh! Major's being careful, but Woozy decided to absolutely send it, and he's got that position on Hurricane. I'm not sure if there was any contact, but he took P2, and it doesn't look like he's going to give the position back. So I'm going to go with it was all fine. Actually, no, he gave the position back, so there must have been a bit of contact. And he's potentially allowing Major through here as well, who's tried to be quite opportunistic, but he goes a little bit deep on the exit and had to lift off the throttle there, which is why Yuri retakes 3rd place. So Major really making a pig's ear of this soft tyre on the first lap. He's losing his advantage as time goes on, and he's on pad in the gen, which means that his tyres are going to struggle potentially by the end of this following lap. Poor exit there for Hurricane, and that's going to allow Yuri to try and take P2 again, and Major's going to try and take advantage as well. He doesn't know which way to go. He's going on the inside into turn 1 here. And yeah, unfortunate for Hurricane, but he loses 2 positions in one go. And now Major has a great opportunity to finally get past these medium runners and into P2. But Woozy's just driven off at this stage of the race into P1. So really solid there. Now Major's going to have, well, he's going to have to try and move around the outside here. He needs to, and yeah, he can't even cut back in because Hurricane's placed his car there, which is pretty good for Hurricane. And Hurricane's actually retaken P3. That was a great overtake there from Hurricane. Got to hand it to him. Let's see what's happening a little bit further back. Actually, we can't because Major's still trying to get past. But a little bit further back, we still got, well, we got Ryaba in P5, Claus in P6, and Kanata's 7th, and Wack is 8th. Peaky is 9th, and Skinsy's actually had an amazing start. He's already in 10th place, just behind his championship rival. So, things are looking pretty good for Skinsy in terms of the championship here. This is a really good Mazda track. He's got Wack Jams at the front of this little 4-way battle with Kanata and Peaky. So if Skinsy can take this corner well, he's got a chance of catching Peaky with his pants down and getting the overtake done into the hairpin. Peaky's battling there with Kanata and actually making a bit of contact for absolutely no reason at all. Gets past Kanata. Skinsy's going around the outside of Peaky here. Need to change the camera angle, and Peaky keeps that position just for now. Like Skinsy's going for it. The door was left open. And it looks like Peaky's kind of slid into him. They're still side by side going into this corner. And really late breaker there from Skinsy. Actually goes a little bit deep. And Peaky manages to... Oh, what are they doing? What is going on between these championship contenders? Not giving each other any space, battling for the middle of the road. But Skinsy gets the position anyway. So he's in the top 8 already, so things are looking really good for Skinsy. It looks like Claus is actually going to lose the position to Whack Jams here. Claus, who was showing so much promise in the sprint race, getting all the overtakes done. Potentially getting this position back though, because he's took turn 1 so much better than his teammate. They're still side by side going through the S's. Let's see, yeah, Claus had to lift a little bit and that's allowed Whack. Oh, are they going to avoid contact? They actually do. Whack goes a little bit squirrely on exit and Claus is still alongside, just about going into turn God knows what. It's a long left-hander though. And Claus gets that position. Major up ahead is still stuck behind Yuri, and however his tyres looking, over 50% worn on the front right, not too good. Woozy's tyres, however, just slightly over 50, so he's looking after them a little bit better. He hasn't had to battle, and he can't really see. Well, there's Yuri in the distance there, so and he's still going purple on these soft tyres as well, so going pretty good for Yuri and Woozy, with Major bearing down on Yuri, but he's still not going as fast as Woozy despite having a bit of free air now. And now Hurricane is potentially going to come under a bit of pressure from Riaba now. He's looking for a little bit of a better result than what he managed in the sprint. He can be at the front of the grid. I don't think this was a very good track for the Peugeot though, to be honest. Peugeot's usually pretty strong everywhere, but these last 2 rounds the Peugeot has kind of struggled despite them being completely different tracks. So let's see what he can do, because regardless of the track, the Peugeot is a better car than the BRZ. Oh, sounded like someone was going for it. And what's happened to Skinsy? Where is he down here? And he's got front bumper and right suspension damage. Let's go back. Well, he's not under pressure from behind. He's got Whack in front of him, his teammate. Is there going to be a bit of a coming together from teammate? Oh, what a weird place to lose it. What the hell? That's so strange. Let's go back again. Let's ride on board from what would have been his point of view here. So his tyres aren't even worn. He is on the mediums. He doesn't even put a tyre on the grass. I have no idea what's happened there. But this is the championship leader at this stage, and he's a mile behind. That's bizarre. That is a bizarre spin. I mean, well, you don't really take the curb there. I guess that's one of those curbs that if you touch it, you spin, but they're not very common on GT, I've got to say. So this is advantage Peaky in the championship for sure, because Peaky's in 8th and Skinsy's hardly getting any points at this stage in the feature race. Lap 3 coming to an end. No one is pitting on lap 3 like we saw in the sprint race. That wouldn't be advisable for the feature, even if you're major on these soft tyres. Woozy's lost a lot of time there. He's done a 2:20, so he's definitely made a mistake somewhere along the line, because we saw he was set to beat that lap number 2. So he's lost 4 seconds. Oh dear. I think that's important enough to rewind a little bit and try and find out. There we go. A beautiful 360 pirouette by the looks of things. This is, I said earlier, this is the most difficult corner, so he's gone wide, took too much speed basically, and went onto the grass, and then span rejoining. Still in the lead though, and fortunate that he ended up facing the right way. But now he's going to come under a bit of pressure from Yuri behind, who's going to have tyre advantage now, and he's not going to have to do all the hard work of closing in on P1. Style points definitely. Yep, that gap is fairly small now. Both of them, actually all 3 of those drivers kissed the grass there, but they managed to survive. Yuri's still going quicker than he has done so far, 17.8, so that's about 9/10 slower than Woozy's fastest lap on lap 2 there. A little bit slower on lap 3. Still comfortably quicker than what Woozy managed. Are we going to see another podium in the feature race for Yuri here? Gotta say, it looked like Woozy and Yuri both struggled quite a lot in the sprint race, but so far so good in this feature. A little bit wide there from Woozy into the hairpin, allowed Yuri to close the gap a little bit more and loses a bit of traction on exit there as well. Everyone's pretty close. It's quite difficult at this point to determine who's the favourite to win this race. As you see, a nice little battle there between Whack and Hurricane. The whole field, apart from, well, down to Skinsy, unfortunately, is damn a 2:44 that lap. That's horrendous. Oh, he went in the pits. That's why. Pitting on lap. Okay, that's a bad idea. That's not going to work out well, I don't think, Skidsy. I think he's probably tried something a bit different. Oh, someone's in the pits. It looks like it was Major. So he's the first one to blink. He's not gonna have to put fuel in. So let's see if he can. Well, actually, he's already down into 12. He's gonna come out ahead of obviously Skidsy and Dado. He's gone for another set of softs. So he's pitting on lap 4. Is he going for a 3-stop strategy here, Major? Well, I think that's the only option because he's done another set of softs. He's going to do a soft, 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 medium potentially. Could work. You saw how short that pit lane was. He's got absolutely free air now, and everyone else will be struggling a little bit on their tyres that are wearing fairly quickly. So he might get the undercut and go into P1 when these other guys pit. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with Major. One to keep an eye on, but at the front it looks like Yuri's taking the lead. Let's see what happened here. Going into that huge long left-hander, the door was left open by Woozy, and Yuri just swoops through with the better tyre life, because look at Woozy's, front tyre. It's completely dead, and he has nothing left to battle. Especially with the spin, that does cost you a lot of tyre life as well when you spin. Rabbit up in P3, Claws in P4, Whack Jams is 5th, Hurricane 6th, Peaky is 7th, right ahead of this huge battle for positions behind him. Filthy currently 8th. Remember, he is our race winner. We haven't seen him at all in the feature race so far, but he's managed to work his way through the field. He's ahead of Dens and Prime Call, who both had good results. Kanata falling back, and then Major, who's pit, Skidsy, who also pit, and Dado, I'm not quite sure what he's doing, but he's at the back. Yuri still in P1. Woozy carrying on for another lap. Ignore what I'm saying, we're not at the start-finish line yet. So I kind of expect Woozy to pit this lap, actually. Even though it's suboptimal in terms of strategy. Unless he's going to do a soft, medium, which is also not a good strategy to do, to be honest. Unless they think that they're not going to make this final lap, so... Not too sure what Tier 3 pace is like, but half the grid in Tier 2 did make the final lap of the race. So I'd expect at least 4 or 5 in Tier 3 to do it as well. So Yuri's building quite a nice lead here, and if Woozy stays out for another lap, that'll be really good news for Yuri. Is he going in though? He does go in. That releases Riaba to try and chase down Yuri. And let's ride on board with Woozy. I don't think he has to do put any fuel in either, but we'll have to wait and see if he does. Hurricane and Kanata also in, and he is putting in fuel, so he is going to fall behind Major. Great news for Major. He's the guys he was battling put on more fuel than he is. Maybe Woozy's gonna... Well, Woozy's on the mediums now, so they're on completely separate strategies anyway. And I think Major's gonna have to pit an extra time as well. If Major gets a top 5 result, if he pits 3 times when some of these people might only pit once, that's going to be pretty amazing. He's already going purple, so he's doing exactly what he needs to do. Skidsy, despite that, Skidsy's on a 16-1, so Skidsy's absolutely on fire here. That's like I said, I think 15, like a high 15s was probably pole position. So what's happening at the front at the moment? Everyone's still really close at the front, but Yuri has got maybe a 2 or 3 second lead at this point ahead of Riaba there, and then Claus still doing well, but look at his tyres, completely dead after 6 laps. This might be the lap that we see everyone else come into the pits though. I think anyone who stays out an extra lap from here might be trying a one-stop. Peaky really fending off from Denz at the moment, so let's join on board with Denz. Denz still has an outside chance of winning the championship here at this stage, but something unusual would have to happen to Peaky, just as it did to Skidsy. See, look, Denz took the curb and didn't spin. Maybe it was the angle Skidsy took the curb that caused the spin. And Prime Call in with this battle as well. Denz really looking after these mediums compared to some of the other drivers, actually. On a car that isn't great on tyre wear. So let's join the front. Is Yuri going to come into the pits? Let's do a little pit rundown. Yuri is carrying on those mediums. Riaba is in. Claus is in. Whackjam's carrying on. That can do a one-stop. Filthy's carrying on. Peaky is carrying on. Denz is in. Prime Call's carrying on. And Major, remember, is the highest of the guys who've already stopped. So is he going to be in the net race lead? Who's going to put in... it looks like a few of them are putting in fuel. Riaba has come out as the lead driver behind Major, and then it's Claus, then it's Woozy, who was leading the race previously, remember, so he's a net P4 at the moment. Then it's Kanata, Hurricane, Skinsy, Denz behind all of them, and with a 3-second penalty, so I don't know what's happened there with Denz, but that's a bit of a disaster. He was doing quite well. Good news for Skinsy means that he's actually back in with the pack after some, well, after a 15.8 that last lap. So, yeah, things all of a sudden looking not as bad for Skinsy. He could potentially salvage something here. He's got quite a pace advantage compared to these other guys. And they're all going to get a massive undercut on this top 5 here as well. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then Major is, what, maybe 3 seconds behind Prime Call? And Prime Call still has to pit. Now, remember, Prime Call and the guys in front are going to do the same number of pit stops for the rest of the race, probably, compared to Major. But Major's going to have pretty much a tyre advantage from here on in. Although he does still have to do the medium stint still. Major's tyres are already above 50% worn. I think Major would do well to invest in a wheel. He's got the worst tyre life on the grid, comfortably. And he plays every game that we've got going as well. But on pad... yeah, he's really closing in on Prime Call. You can tell every corner he's just a little bit closer. So is this going to be the lap that people come in? Yuri's staying out, so Yuri's definitely committed to the one-stop. Whack has come in. Filthy's staying out, so Filthy as well is committed to the one-stop. It's like Peaky's going to commit to the one-stop, but he doesn't have great tyre wear. So I'm quite surprised there. Prime Call as well, and Major is up into P5 now, and this might be the lap where he comes into the pit. So he might do 2 stops before some of these guys do their first. But he is back with the front runners, so what he's doing at the moment appears to be working, strategy-wise at least, but we'll have to see what happens at the end. If he can have a clean race and, crucially, avoid traffic when he comes out of these pit stops on the faster tyres, he could pull off a very impressive result here. It's quite fascinating, actually. You can tell, even though he's nearly dead on his tyres, he's still very close to, well, closing the gap massively to Prime Call. Actually, Prime Call's tyres are just, well, more worn, and a harder compound, so that is why we've got this advantage here. Major's going to be trying a move imminently. Actually bumps Prime Call through the corner there. Oh, is that a little bump and then a pass? I'm not too sure if there was contact there. It kind of looked like there was. Major in P4 anyway. That was a little bit naughty. And now he's got Peaky in his sights. Very difficult corner here to take when you've got dead tyres. You have to go a lot slower than when you've got fresh ones, and sometimes it's easy to forget about that, and that's why you see cars spinning there. So Yuri finally in the pit to end a lap 8. We are 18 minutes into the race. Peaky and Major carrying on, so maybe Major's not actually going to be doing a 3-stopper. Ooh, he's gonna. Wow, the door was kind of left open, but Peaky keeps the position for now. Peaky's tyres are very slightly better, however, they are a harder compound. So I would say advantage Major at this moment in time. Peaky going defensive here. He's hugging the apex, but Major's had to tuck back in behind. You see he's got such a better exit there, but he had to lift a little bit because otherwise he's just going to punt Peaky. And Peaky going a little bit wide, again, leaves the door open a little bit. Prime Call's very close behind as well. So Peaky is basically at the head of a bit of a train going on here, because all these cars behind, we saw Riaba just overtake Claus there as well. Pretty good overtake there that we saw from in the distance. But yeah, Peaky's still defending P2 fairly well here. I don't know how this is going to pan out at the end of the race though, because it looks like he's going to try and make a one-stop work now. Now Riaba's closing in pretty quickly on Prime Call. He's on the soft tyres as well, very fresh. And Claus going for a really late dive. He's actually makes the apex as well. I thought he was going to overshoot there, but he takes P5 off Riaba. The two Germans having a good little battle here, but Claus on his fresh softs is going to try and take Prime Call into this corner. Peaky still defending ahead of from the Genesis as well. And Claus holds it around the outside. He's going to get alongside going into this next corner. This is going to be a hazard. Let's watch from Riaba's point of view, because there might be a little incident here. Actually, Prime Call just backs out of it. He thinks, right, I'm not going to try too hard there. And as a result of backing out, he didn't have enough speed, and Riaba just sweeps through as well. So what is happening now? Is Filthy coming in? He's carrying on again. I mean, he's got the tyres for it. What about Peaky? Peaky all out of shape, and he is carrying on. Major getting out of traffic finally. And he's the only one that comes in this lap, so he's pitting at the end of lap 9 for his second stop. So yeah, I do think the 3 stops actually on. 3 stops on for him. Unless he's going to go to the end on mediums. No, he's on softs again. You can see they are fresh softs. He's in last position now. But you see all the other cars on the minimap there completely gone. And he's going to have lots of space to just pound in the laps and get another undercut on these guys, and he should come out ahead of Peaky, but I need to see what's happened here, because all of a sudden Peaky's lost P2 to Claus, who wasn't actually that close to him. Claus gets a little bump draft there from Riaba into the corner. Peaky leaves the door wide open, and it was just easy for Claus. And is Riaba going to follow through as well? Peaky going completely backwards now. He shouldn't really be battling with these guys, because that's just going to cost Peaky more time and more positions come the end of the race. He goes very deep there, thinking that he can race with these guys when he's got dead tyres. No, you cannot, and he's going to potentially lose a position to Prime Call. Prime Call's tyres are just as dead as his though, so Prime Call couldn't take advantage. And then we got Yuri. Remember Yuri? He was in P1 earlier. He's down in P6 at the moment. But he's going to be closing the gap pretty quickly to these guys in front. He's going purple as well. 15.6 by Dens is the quickest lap. Dens, we saw, had a 3-second penalty after that pit stop, and he's outside the top 8 now. Skinsey says he's on mediums. I don't know who he is, because too much is happening. See how quickly Yuri closed that gap to Prime Call there. That took 2 corners to close in, maybe 2 seconds there. Now Yuri's gonna Major's on mediums. It looked like he was on softs. Oh yeah, he is on mediums. Okay. Well, anyway, Yuri's gonna overtake these guys potentially. Are they gonna pit at the end of this lap? They still haven't made a single stop yet, Peaky and Prime Call. Neither is Filthy at the front. Working out a little bit better for Filthy, despite starting last on the grid. He's leading this race, and these guys are struggling a little bit more. Filthy finally in the pits. These guys should be following him. Yuri will certainly be hoping that they do, because they are slow. Yep, they both go in, and now that releases Yuri. So after everyone's done 1 stop, apart from Major, who's done 2, Riaba is in P1. Claus is just behind in P2. And then we've got Yuri in 3rd, Whack in 4th, Woozy, our one-time race leader, is in 5th on the mediums. Kanata doing pretty well here in 6th place, actually. 7th, I should say. Filthy comes out of the pits and is actually in 8th. Then it's Peaky 9th, Major 9th, sorry, after his 2 stops, so he is still in the top 10. Peaky in 10th on the soft, so he's going to be overtaking Major pretty quickly. Then we got Prime Call, Hurricane, Skinsey, Miles at the back, and we have a retirement. I'm not sure who that was. So we have 2 toys thrown out of the pram today because they couldn't hack this difficult track. But at the front, let's follow this battle between the Germans. They'll be battling all race long, Riaba and Claus. And currently it's advantage Riaba. He's got better tyres as well. But it seems like Claus has more pace regardless of that. We are 24 minutes into this race, so basically we've got 7-ish laps to go. The length of a sprint race. But we do have more pit stops on the way, because look at those tyres on Riaba. They are not looking too shabby, not looking too good. I don't know what just happened to my voice there. So we've got some more pit stops on the way. I think Whack, actually no, I don't think Whack can make it to the end on those tyres. Then we got Yuri. Yuri's probably the one that's stopping. So potentially our net race leader is Yuri. But let's follow the battle between the Germans. Looks like Claus has lost a bit of pace at the moment. They might be coming in for a pit stop now, but if I was them, I think I'd do 1 more lap on these softs and then do a final soft stint at the end. It depends if they think they're getting that extra lap in or not, because it's 18 laps if you're quick. Which, if you're at the front of this grid, you should be aiming for 18, which it looks like these 2 are. Whack carrying on. Yuri should, oh, Kanata's in for his stop. I don't think Kanata's expected to make the final lap, to be honest. So this is a good strategy call for him. He is putting in a little bit of fuel here. Let's see what's happened between Major and Peaky. So Major, remember, is on the mediums. It looks like he's going to try and do the rest of the race on mediums. So a 2-stop for Major, just the complete opposite way around as everyone else. He's in 8th place at the moment. A bunch of guys are going to have to pit again. Filthy is not one of them, and potentially Yuri's not one of them. We'll have to wait and see what Yuri does, because he made a strategy gaffe in Catalonia and cost himself probably the race win. But Peaky's not really closing the gap that much on Major at this stage. And these 3 have been pretty close all race long. Prime Call just behind as well. Kanata actually comes out behind Skinsey. So, at the front, we've got 1 more, well, half a lap left for Riaba. He's really building a gap on Claus now. Claus losing a lot of time now that his tyres are completely dead on the front right there. maybe 2.5 seconds, I would predict that he is behind Riaba now, when he was actually trying to overtake him a lap or two ago. Maybe he would have been a bit wiser just tucking him behind and trying to preserve the tyre life a bit better, because at the end of the day, you don't have to be battling for every position when it's the final race time that you should be targeting. Goes really wide there as well because he doesn't have the grip, and he probably was braking at the same braking point as when his tyres were a bit fresher. Makes you go wide. Whoa, on the grass a little bit, but manages to save it. So Riaba surely is coming in for his final stop now. There we go, he's completely out of fuel as well, same with Claus, expecting Wack to come in as well. Dens could potentially go on for one more lap if he wants to, but it's not optimal strategy, so he comes in. Yuri actually comes in as well. He lost a position to Dens also. He has the tyres, but he just didn't put in enough fuel there. Woozy in the pits to get rid of his mediums and do a final stint on the softs. Filthy is going to be our race leader once again as a result, and at the same time does his fastest lap by 1.7 seconds, a solid mid-16. 0.9 off the race, the fastest lap of the race though. So he's really potentially focusing on this soft stint on his tyre preservation, because it isn't really a case of setting the fastest lap round here. It's a case of making sure that those tyres can go quickly when it's crunch time at the end of the stints. So a solid P1 for Filthy. Riaba's come back out in P2 and Claus has come back out in P3. Peaky is in P4, which I'm quite surprised at after all this is shaken out. Wack in P5th, so Peaky's got ahead of Major, who's down in P6 now, but still doing pretty good on the complete alternate strategy. Looks like Prime Call's got a run on him though now, and actually Prime Call ends up bump drafting him. And he's going to go for it into the hairpin. It looks like Peaky's very wide and is going to gift that position to Wack ahead as well. And yeah, I thought he was going to do something very stupid there, but backed out of it, which is good to see. Wack in P4, absolutely having a better race this time than previous rounds that we've seen. And he's going to have to defend pretty hard here from Peaky. Major's still got P6 ahead of Prime Call somehow. Dado left. Oh dear. Right, so I actually will have to see if that was a disconnection. I think he accidentally disconnected, not accidentally, because of his internet earlier in the season. And Wack's actually going to start pulling away from Peaky here. Look how much more fresh Wack's tyres are though. He's really got a good chance of potentially a podium here. Claus is closed back into Riaba, and Filthy's just going to be chilling on his own at the moment. He's probably got a 5-6 second lead. You can't even see the cars in the distance at the moment. Really good tank on the Lexus, as I like to always point out, which always helps in the pit window. Means that you have slightly more strategy options in terms of refueling. Can be a little bit snookered by the tyres though. When you got a better fuel tank, then how your tyres will let you go, it kind of equalizes things a little bit. Now, did someone come in the pits there? Major's in the pit, yeah, so he did do a 3-stop, but he's back at the end again. He's not going to have to put fuel in this time at least, and he's going to do one last stint on the softs, and he's going to have to. I don't know if he's going to get a top 10 now. He's really far behind Kanata in P12. I thought that it would go a little bit better for him. Doesn't look like it's going to shape up that way. But these guys are going to be pretty slow on the final lap. But it's lap 14. Major's not going to get the 18th lap in. So 14, 15, 16, 17. He's only going to get 4 laps out of those soft tyres. This battle for this podium is just not going away. Neither of these two can get away from the other, essentially. And what's happening with Peaky? So Peaky's going to come under threat now from Dent, who's got much fresher tyres. So let's watch this battle between P2 and P3 in the championship as it stands currently. Looks like Peaky might be on for retaking the lead though, because he's in P5 and we just, well, Skidsy's had a nightmare. Skidsy's had several moments in this race. And there's no one, well, Yuri behind isn't really going to be threatening them. Yuri having a better race, but I'm not quite sure what happened to put Yuri back down in P7, because he was showing really good promise. So I don't know if it's a lack of pace or if we didn't see an incident from Yuri, but him and Woozy were comfortably P1 and 2 for a while. Peaky goes into the grass a little bit on the exit, and that's going to allow Dens to pull alongside. Peaky obviously is going to go defensive into the corner, which is kind of his trademark move of the season. And again, he makes a bit of contact. Let's have a little look. What does Peaky do with his driving style here? So he's going right, and he decides to make a bit of contact with Dens there to probably stop his momentum a little bit. Now, I've seen that happen maybe 3 times in this race, and it's, to be fair, quite dirty. I don't want to see it in the league. You've got all that track to the left of you, and it's just completely unnecessary. It's not in the spirit of basically what we're trying to do as a league. So if you see him doing that, please report it, because we need to start looking at this kind of stuff. We've cracked down a lot on stewarding this season. 4 drivers have had race bans across the league for driving that we deem to be unacceptable, and that's something that I would quite like to iron out before he causes a big incident by doing something like that and ends up pit maneuvering someone. So Den's still behind Peaky at the moment. Trying a few different strategies to try and get past. He's going to go for kind of an undercut here. And again, see, that's a 5-second penalty straight away. He's just shoving his car into other drivers. Why Tier 3, tell me, aren't you reporting this kind of behaviour? Because that's what, the 4th or 5th time it's happened? And that's the only reason he's keeping this position. Because of unsportsmanlike driving. If this was a real race between GT cars, these 2 cars probably wouldn't be on the track anymore, because there'd be too much damage. And you can't just take advantage of the physics of the game to drive in a way that'll keep you positioned. Now Dens is under threat from Yuri, when he should be comfortably ahead of Peaky right now. There we go. Dens has had enough. And now Peaky's gonna... Ooh, just avoid contact there. I think he was thinking about doing the same thing and just shoving him out of the way, but that would have definitely resulted in an incident. Now Dens is gonna have another go. Well, if you don't think it'll be penalised, and you don't report it, then you'll never know. If it's happening every lap with every driver that he's battling against, then it's clearly not just a tap, it's an intentional way of driving. And now he's lost 2 positions, so I guess that's karma anyway. Oh, big mistake there from Woozy on the side of the track, and it looks like Peaky's trying to have a look it's all kicking off here. So we're on lap 16 of 17. Let's go through the grid. And we've still got Filthy. He's actually lost quite a bit of time here to Riaba and Claus behind. Basically because he's lost 2 seconds on that previous lap. Riaba is still just ahead of Claus, but Riaba's tyres are better, so that's going to serve him well in this final lap or two. Let's actually see, are these guys going to make lap 18? I want to know. This top 3 definitely should. Yeah. Then we got Claus in 3rd. Is Wack going to make it? He should make the final lap as well. So yeah, 4 or 5 drivers potentially making the final lap of the race. Might be a bit borderline for Dens and Peaky for sure. Peaky still battling with Yuri. And we got Hurricane in P8. No, Woozy in P8, sorry. Hurricane and Kanata. The Subaru's doing pretty well here. Both of them in the top 10. Didn't expect to see that at this stage of the race. Major on his recovery drive from last on his really fresh soft, but he's only managed to get P11. The 3-stopper really not working out. When you think the guy on 1 stop is in 1st and the guy on 3 stops is in 11th, tells you all you need to know about which was the better strategy, but also it's a lot down to the cars as well and what they can do. Even in real life, GT cars can do that as long as you don't take anyone out. People have to understand that this isn't F1. It's a whole different category. You could be rough. Well, no, I disagree with that, because at the end of the day, you can't intentionally make contact with someone to make them slow down so that you keep the position. You can't do that. You have to race fair. When you've got an entire track in front of you, and you can choose where to put your car, why would you choose to put your car into the side of someone else's to make them lose time? Race fairly, or you get penalties. That's how it works in this league, pretty much. So, it's not this is F1 or this isn't F1. It's, do you want to race in a fair league, or do you want to race with people who are going to send it and race unfairly so that they can keep the position? Because we've got daily races for that. This is real league racing. Anyway, Filthy's still holding on to this lead, but he is losing a lot of time. Oh, really wide there from Riaba, but he's got enough in him to prevent the spin and continue on. And these guys are going to get the final lap, as is Claus. Whackjamp's all on his own in P4 there, is going to get the final lap as well. We've got 5 seconds left, so it might just not be enough for Dens. Let's see, is he going to... No, Dens going to take a solid P5. Yuri's going to take P6. Peaky P7. He's going to retake the championship lead. Woozy P8. And then we got Kanata, who actually overtook Hurricane on that final lap. Take a P9. Pretty good result there for Kanata. Hurricane is going to lose P10 right on the line to Major. We've got Skidsy in 12th. And we've got Prime Call in P13. I don't know what happened to him, because he was doing really well for most of that race. Oh, poor guy. Anyway, battle for P1. Let's have a look. It looks like the top 2 have dropped Claus a little bit there. Let's ride on board with Riaba. He's on for another podium. No stranger to the podium this season is Riaba. He started as a reserve. He's moved to full-time. Managed to get the Peugeot as a reserve driver. I don't know what Tier 3 was thinking there, because that's definitely one of the best cars. Now Riaba's really close. This closest speed to Filthy all race long. Oh, Skidsy had another moment. That's why Prime Call's at the back. Oh, the poor guy. He was doing so well, Skidsy. He had to ruin it. At least he waited. That's good sportsmanship. Unlike what else we've seen in this race from other drivers. So, Filthy not to overshadow this amazing drive for Filthy. Remember, he was P2 in the first race. Oh, he's gone wide, but so did Riaba, so he's going to just about hold on as we go into the final corner. Filthy's going very defensive. Riaba might have a little bit of a run on the exit here, but the straight might not be long enough. He's definitely going to get to the slipstream, but it looks like Filthy is going to take a win here in Kyoto after a P2 in the first race. That's going to catapult him up into the top 5 of the championship from not a great season so far for Filthy by his standards. Riaba P2, very solid. Claus P3, really reversal of fortune from the sprint where he tried the one-stopper and it kind of only worked a little bit. And then Whack Jamps, a very solid P4 there as well. So yeah, really good feature race there. Quite a different order of drivers on the podium that we don't normally see. Next week is the final race of the season. There is not many points in it between Peaky and Skidsy, and the last race is at Blue Moon, which is a incredibly short lap. It's 1 minute and I don't know, like 6 seconds if you set a good lap. Quite high tire wear, just like this one as well, but might favor some different cars. So yeah, join us tomorrow when it starts if you're racing, or God knows when I'll do the comms, but I'll try and get it done a little bit quicker because it is the last race of the season. So join me then. Thanks for watching.